All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Dude Dads. We're here in Delaware, another snow day. This is the second time we've podcast this week with some shit weather.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah, but anyway, so we're here. Tom should be out plowing, but he's not. He's in here with us.
I'm losing money. Let's
We
go.
got we got a pretty cool guest today that actually we kind of came in contact not around the podcast. We're both in a group called the Lions Den, Sean Whalen's group. A bunch of killers in there.
Mhm.
I actually chatted with Colleen here about something completely different. And then decided, hey, look, you want to be on the podcast with us and chat it up, tell us your story. She agreed, thankfully. So we're gonna get spiritual today.
I like
Uh
being spiritual.
calling in again our second guest
Uh,
from Costa Rica, Colleen Lindberg. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm really stoked to just be here with you guys today and see what we create together in conversation. So
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
a hundred
maybe I should
percent.
have brought the spirit stick in here. You know what I mean?
Oh, spirit sticks. Yeah. Yes. So, look, this is just about you. We want to hear your story, kind of where you started, where you're at now, and everything in between. So, what exactly do you do? So I know like spirituality, spiritual coach, right? Is that
Mhm.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
spiritual
how,
guide, like whatever. We can use
okay.
any of the verbiage. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does someone like yourself move into that space as a career?
Yeah, such a great question. So I was running a spiritual highway, I call it, about 15 years ago, at the same time that I was running a very pragmatic business coaching consulting business. So I did a lot of franchising, leadership development, culture management, all the very pragmatic business stuff. And alongside it, I was working with a spiritual mentor, discovering, who I really was as a human per se, even though I still think I don't really know. But I think I have a couple of keys, that I'm like moving through. And I never thought the highways would come together and would combine. But I started taking all these courses for fun and I started to kind of lean into like the spiritual conversations. And I found other people that were crazy like me, quote unquote. And we could talk about all the woo woo stuff. And I started really finding a groove in life that way, but never really talked about it in like the public or talked about it to other people or considered even making money at it. And then in 2020, when the whole world shut down, all my businesses shut down, and all of a sudden, all the revenue streams dried up. And I just went, okay, something needs to shift here. And then all of a sudden, I just like, it was like God talked to me and he was like, you're ready. And I was like, ready for what? Like, as I look around, going, who's talking to me? Ready for what? And they're like, it's time for you to own this dynamic in your life of being a soul mission activator. And I was like, what is a soul mission activator? Like, I'm like, what is this? And they're like, every single soul on earth is here for a reason to do something in some way, shape, or form. They have a piece to a puzzle. And as we move through our earth experience, we discover more about that and align in that. And our job is to accelerate and remember what that really is. And they're like, you're in charge of some people to help them really step into that space. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? And they're like, you remember all those tools that you took for training for fun? Akashic Records work and all the mediumship stuff and all the like crazy kind of woo woo stuff that I did. And I went, yeah, they're like, you're supposed to combine that and then use all of your business knowledge to help them really align. A lot of them are what I call lightpreneurs, so light workers in business, help them really get their actual model and their blueprint up to be able to serve humanity. So that's kind of how it like dropped into the space of so many stories in between for sure. But that's like the Coles and Oates top line version of it.
That that is fascinating. And I often tell people, I think Tom's on the same page. Uh, I'm not religious,
Mhm.
right? But I would say spiritual, right? And then there's a weird in between, I feel like I'm not a church guy. I'm
Yeah.
not buying into the traditional. Um, but there's also too many coincidences in the earth that you got to be like, there's some,
Something.
what they say, a power greater than myself, right?
Hmm.
And whether it's just, whether it's a higher power, whether it's a, we're, how do I say this without saying, sound really fucking woo woo, but like we're a part of the
Yeah.
earth, right? Our surroundings, the soil, the water, the trees, and all that shit, right? And when
Yeah.
you really start thinking about it, it starts getting fascinating. And I
Hmm.
think most people have the thoughts, right, that you kind of were interested in when you were doing a, I'll call it a corporate job,
Yep.
but you really leaned into it and
Hmm.
you're the you're like more of like the chosen one to like, like what did you call? Did you say a vessel? Like you're this like
Yeah, we
vessel
could use it as
delivers
that. Yeah.
this stuff and helps people
Conduit.
because
Yeah,
it
conduit. Yeah.
it sounds like you originally started this for yourself and was kind of like, I'm not going to say anything to people because this might sound really weird and some of my friends might think, fuck man, what's Colleen talking about? Is that kind of how you felt at first?
Yeah, well, and also too, it's like I resisted it a lot. So I was like, okay, God, I hear you, or universe or divine alignment, whoever you kind of speak to. And I was like, I'll start that in 2021. Okay, this is what I said. I'll start that in January. And then all of a sudden I started getting text messages from people. Hey, I got connected to you. I heard that you do this like soul thing where you can help me find my purpose and like really get my business structure aligned in that. And I looked at the text and I was like, did the universe send you a text? Like, how do you even know? Because I didn't even like embody this yet. I didn't even bring it into my field to actually digest it. And all of a sudden I was getting messages. And literally it happened 3 times. And I went, okay, I guess this is a thing. And I guess this is what I'm doing. And I'm just going to figure it out as I move through. And
That
I
is
did.
wild.
Yeah.
That answers my first question. I was like, well, how did you get your first customer? And
Yeah.
that was it.
I
So the first
literally didn't
customer
do
came to you. That's
anything.
pretty nice.
Yeah, the first customer came to me. So I guess somebody had heard about me somewhere along the way through someone. Like it was like this chain of events that you can't even make up. Like you can't
So
even look through it. Yeah, go for it.
what do you find that your customers or clients are looking for or don't have? Why are they coming to you
Mhm.
in like in a deeper sense, other than just getting aligned? Like what,
Yeah. One of the objectives of the work I do is helping people like reclaim and remember their power and their truth. So they're coming to me to actually remember who they actually are and to really trust in their deeper intuitive connection to themselves, that
yeah,
they can do the work, they can step into the work. So helping them clear energy that way or helping them really dissect that or really leaning into how that's going to work is really assisting them on being confident to be able to step into the space. Because some of the work
Because
I
yeah,
do,
that's a big one. It's definitely confidence.
most people
yeah,
have the moments that you had in
yeah,
2020.
yeah,
Most people ignore them.
of course.
They just brush it off and it's right in front of you, like saying, hey, here's what you should be moving into, or here's an opportunity, and people just ignore it. And like the world is loud and noisy and we have distractions. And like Tom said, the confidence thing, we've heard it before, imposter syndrome. Everybody's like, no, I'm not
Mm,
that guy. I'm not
yeah.
that girl. That can't be for me. But it kind of sounds like you're the one that could help them realize like, no, you should lean into that.
Yeah, there probably should be more coaches because just over the past few years, and you like I used to move through life thinking everyone was like me, and I'm super
Mhm.
confident. I've always said
Right.
I understand the timeline of my life. I understand like when I was, especially when I was younger, like, yep, I should make the most of these moments. They're going to be, far few in between, and but then I realized people that I'm like, people do. They have the power in them. They
Mm,
just don't believe in themselves. They have
yeah.
false walls. You're like, and then I will forget that sometimes. I'm like, man, that's such a silly wall to have.
Right.
It's good to have a coach because, like, I think, especially for a woman, because y'all are just way better at communicating. I would just be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? You
Yeah.
got it. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's in you.
That,
Like,
that
this shit is easy. Like,
Yeah.
but people really do hang on to something. And, like you said, don't remember. I think what helps, say me to do things, you say remembering the power is
Yeah.
remembering that I was a kid. I still like to try and act like a kid. That usually tends to
Mm,
help me enjoy life,
yeah.
and not to take myself seriously, and just to go with the flow and not the flush. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I love
what
that
it
concept. Yeah. Hold that question for 2 seconds because
yeah.
when we play and are in joy, when we talk about vibrations and bringing like good vibes into the world, we actually can access them really quickly when we're playing and enjoy. And then we can spread them really quickly when we're playing and enjoy. And that's like a ripple effect that goes through the
Yeah.
world for sure. So I love that
Yeah.
you brought that up. Sorry about interrupting.
Jerry's heard me 100 times say you got to listen to the universe. I say that stuff all the time. You got to read the universe. Like
Yeah.
you got to look at what's happening. You got to be aware of your if you got to be aware of yourself and you got to be aware of others and just be attentional of like, okay, the universe is saying something here.
Hmm.
Like one, you told me one time, like, I'm just going to lean into it more. Like say my business, like I was like, basements come to me a lot. I'll just lean into that. I think the universe is telling me just to specialize in basements. And then just leaning into more what's around me and letting the universe throws you hints, but you got to be
Hmm.
intentional about wanting to read the universe and paying
Yep.
attention to what's happening because there's
Yes.
signs all over. And it may not be your end goal or your end answer you're looking for, but the universe is like, yeah, you got to take the steps. Let me give you this step right
Yes.
here. And
Yes.
10 steps later, like, shit, man, all right, we're in the cook. You never know what you're going to be cooking with. Like, you just never know, you know?
Yeah.
You
So
don't
who is
know.
your
Yeah.
who do you find that you're helping more folks in this space to help their business, or is it more on a personal relationship level?
Yeah, so it at the beginning it was more business focused where I could really lean in and get them really tied up. And now I'm actually working more in their own spiritual connections within themselves and trusting what's coming through and accelerating, in the woo-woo world, we have spiritual gifts. Like, I work with a lot of psychics and mediums and all that kind of stuff. And it's not just those people. It's like deep rooted knowing that I have something to do on this earth and I just don't know what it is or I'm not trusting what it is and helping them really break that open. So it's more like personal, like that's why it's like spiritual guide
Hmm.
instead of like really leaning into like intuitive business consultant, which is what
Right.
it used to be in 2020 or
But they go hand in hand. Really, all of it,
absolutely.
all the equities of life, right? Core four, right? You
Yeah.
cannot have one. You can't just solely feed one because all the other ones will suffer. It's like all
Yep.
those buckets, spirituality, relationships, business, your health and fitness, all of those have to be, you have to make deposits in those equally across the
Mhm.
board, or they all fucking suffer,
Yep.
and we all get wrapped up in it. We all get honed in on our fitness, and then something else might suffer, right? Your relationship with your spouse might suffer, or whatever, with your kids, and then all those things are interchangeable. So even you're going on a more personal level, that is giving them tools to fill all of those buckets. So
Yep.
it's still
I
helping
agree with
them in
you.
every equity of life, right?
Yeah, and when we really trust the flow of our intuition, then we know what's going to serve our body, whether it's food or whether it's certain movements. Then we know how to market ourselves and really step into the space if we're listening. Because my objective in life is ease and grace. And not to say that we don't go through our challenges because we are human and we still have emotions and we're still working through our stuff. But how can we make this easier? How can we have it more in alignment where it flows more, where it's like, the universe shows up and says, do this, and you take that step and it gives you the next one. And now you're down this pathway going, wow, that was really easy. Like that's the intention that we are actually meant to live within on earth. But we come down our environments, our parents, all the things that we go through, they teach us work hard, work hard, work hard, instead of step into the space of like, where's the easier path that gives me all the things still? And maybe I don't have to work 18-hour days and I can work 4 and make more money. So it's
Yeah.
like all these concepts that move through that sometimes we just don't believe because we don't have evidence of. And all of spirituality, the evidence only comes after you believe.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of those oxymorons, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to like friends of ours, like, oh man, wait, you only work like a couple days this week, I bet. I'm like, man, I think in my head, like, yeah, but I I have the goals. I
Yeah.
have intention about why I would do that. I don't think people have like I would sure in business is like a simple question is like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What is the goal? If is it to make money? Is it just to look at your competition and go, yeah, I work more than you? Is it because that's a thing, or wanting more
Hmm.
materials?
I don't
Where
understand.
I'm just like, man, I do it in this world. When people hear like, you could work smarter, not harder, and people just kind of see that as a cop out. It's like, man, if you want less and you'd want more spiritual, like for he and I, like I would like to just sit. I like good reflection time, right? If I had a time just to sit right at a river, no sound pollution,
Yeah.
I say, okay, that's worth more to me than money. So how can I get more days of those? Well, I need to work smarter. So if I can if I can use technology in 24
Mhm.
and use how easy it is to make money, if I can marginalize the use of that money better to get those days back, I'm going to do that. I don't need $1 million to keep working and keep trying to make $1 million. Like you see a lot of guys online, everybody's always preaching. I said this to you before. Everyone's always preaching, you got to work more and make this money, but they never talk about how much more time they have with their
Yeah.
families or their own selves. I'm like,
Chase
Yeah.
freedom, not money.
I was
Yeah.
just telling you
Yeah.
this. I just met with a couple guys that were getting ready to retire. And dude, the one I was asking, I was like, oh, so man, what are you going to do? Like fishing? He's like, I don't really fish. I'm like, okay. I mean, you got some hobbies, cars. He's like, "No, I don't really work on cars." He's like, I'll probably just like, work part-time and, stuff like that. I'm like, hey, what are you doing on earth? What are you doing?
Right.
That's no goals. I can't. Yeah. A lot of people walk around and really don't know why they're here, what they're doing,
Mhm.
have no attentions of their own life and take for granted that tomorrow might be the last day. Like, be a kid, go enjoy the outdoors, go sit and
Yeah.
have some reflections and look back on that life. And
Yeah.
then, you know what I mean? Like for he and I, like, that's what we're trying to get, maybe we work less, but we do more, that's worth
Yeah.
way more.
Yeah. Or you be more. Like that's the real objective is
Yeah.
we are
Being more.
being instead of doing all the time like we've been conditioned to think we have to keep doing. How do we be more? So you are being when you're by that water
Yeah.
Hmm.
reflecting and stepping in, you're actually connected to your own self. And when we actually do that from the work I do, you actually expand the energy more. And now you're actually available to create more in the world, whatever that means
Exactly.
for each of
Yeah.
us. Right. And like Costa Rica changed the game for me. Like it was like I didn't know why I was supposed to be here. Like it dropped in as an intuitive hit, I call it, meaning I woke up one day is like you're moving to Costa Rica and I was like, okay, when am I leaving? And literally that's how it came about. And I didn't understand. I consciously could a little bit, but once I got here and that the earth and the land holds you. And like
Yeah.
when you wake up to the birds, like literally the first day I woke up, I was up at 5 o'clock. I was like, why am I up at 5 o'clock? Oh, your body's circadian rhythming to the actual energy of the earth. Like we get up with the sun and like we go to bed early here
Yeah.
because that's what earth does here in Costa
Yeah.
Rica. It's
Isn't
a
that
whole different vibe.
crazy?
Yeah, isn't it
Yeah, it
crazy
is.
that you can't trick Earth? Like when I got on a plane, I flew for 24 hours. It's so crazy that the world's like, yeah, you're gonna pay for all that fast travel and just like that, all that jet lag,
Hmm.
that hit me like a
Yeah.
ton of bricks, man. Like I've done jet lag, but that trip going to
Thailand.
Burma and
Yeah.
Thailand, oh my God, it was
Mm.
so powerful. And it's just so crazy. Like my brother and I was sitting there like, yeah, isn't it crazy? You can't trick the Earth. Like it knows you
Yeah.
traveled around the world. Like you can't trick it.
Yeah.
What tell us about your journey to Costa Rica is so this is a you're all in, right? You're 100%, that's where you're
Yeah.
staying.
This is
Where
where I
where
live.
were you in the States?
No, I was in Canada. So I was
Oh,
north
that's
of
right. That's right. You were
Toronto.
in Canada. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did tell me that.
North of Toronto. Yeah.
So, yeah, how long ago was that? What's your day-to-day like there? How's it different? All that jazz.
Yeah. Well, in 2022, at the beginning of the year, I knew I was moving somewhere. Like I just kept feeling like I was going south. At first, I thought it was Florida. And I just kind of let it percolate. So when something comes in, I'm like, I don't have all the answers. Let's just put it over there and
Yeah.
watch it kind of come together. And then one day I woke up and it was like, you're going to Costa Rica. And I was like, and like I talk to God every day, like, or like, like I talk to my guides or like it's over here. So whenever I do that, it's kind of like it came through on the side where I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, when am I leaving? This was about March in 2022. And they're like in the fall. And I said, okay, should I start selling stuff now? Because I've done this before. I moved to California back in 2017, 2018, sold everything, packed up the SUV and drove. Like I'd never even been to California. I've never even been to Costa Rica. And this showed up again. And they're like, yeah, start selling stuff. So, did all the things, started selling things. And I just kept hearing this word, Uvita, like Uvita. And I was like, what is this? And then all of a sudden, someone I follow on Instagram made a post that her and her family were moving to Uvita in Costa Rica, or as we know as Uvita, moving here. And I went, oh my God, that's the place that I just keep hearing about. That's where I'm supposed to go. And literally a few weeks later, she made a post about this rental unit that her friend had available. And I contacted her to get the info, connected with the guy, locked it in for October the 15th. And now here we are. And I knew I was leaving in October. So all of that aligned. Started selling stuff. Literally, like I had a living room full of things that I was at the last stretch because I had to like 3 duffel bags was all I took. That was it, plus a carry-on. Like you had like I had to literally squeeze my whole life into bags. Now, guys, I need to tell you this. Like I'm pretty like chic and like high maintenance in Canada, lots of high heels, leather jackets. None of the leather jackets made it, but I couldn't donate them or give them away. So there's a bin. There's actually 2 bins still up in Canada at my girlfriend's house with my other shoes, leather jackets, and paperwork. But that's all that is there. I brought 10 pairs of high heels that I like maybe have worn once here. When I went to Salt
Yeah.
Lake
Oh,
City, I brought a couple pairs 'cause I was like, yes, I can put the heels on again. But like most of the roads aren't even paved where I live. I live in a really small town in the southern part of Costa Rica. And
Wow.
literally, a girlfriend of mine said, "Hey, can I fly out with you and stay for a bit while you're getting settled? I just love to take a couple weeks, to break." And I said, "Yeah." So she joined me. We flew out. I had no idea what was happening, where I was even going. Got here, landlord's giving us a tour of the place, and he says, "Oh, you can't flush your toilet paper." And I went, "Is this a joke?" And he's like, "No, like you can't flush your toilet
oh yeah.
paper." I was like,
That's how
"Why?"
Thailand was.
Yeah, the septic
They put it in
systems
a
can't
trash
hold
can.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
that's and that's life now, right? I even
Yeah.
forget that in Canada, I when I went back in December again, I was like, "Oh, you can flush the
You
toilet."
got the
Like
bum guns over there.
bum no.
No, like the little sprayers.
Oh, no.
That's
The
all that was
bum
like all
gun,
Thailand, dude. It's like, the bum gun is like
Bum
that's
gun.
that there were
the
the most time it
bidets.
wouldn't even be
Yeah.
toilet paper, it's just a bum gun, that's it. And especially over there, a lot of times it's like, oh, no soap in here. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably similar experience. Like, and I actually live in this. So coming here, you think you need all the things, and then over the weeks, you completely dismantle the things that you think that you actually need,
Yeah.
and you learn to live with what you have in a beautiful way, like not in a way of scarcity, but in a way of, oh, did we actually really need this?
Yeah.
And so started grounding in, meeting people. Like I can work anywhere online, so it doesn't matter where I am in the world. And just really started to see the shift in who I was as a human, like how I respected the earth, how I like choose to dive into people now and to honor. Like the Ticos and Ticas have so much respect for humans that if you talk to them and they're in the middle of working, they stop working to talk to you. And when they say like Tico time or Pura Vida time, like this is a real thing that people learn to connect with others. Like it's like a deep rooted
I like that.
energy here. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
and as North Americans, we're like, dude, like I pay you by the hour, like keep working. Well,
Yeah.
stop talking to him,
Yeah.
because he wants to be present with you. And I think that that's some of the stuff we lack in North America. We've forgotten how to be
Yeah,
present
forgotten.
in our
Well, yeah,
life.
everybody here is in such a rush to go nowhere.
Yeah, right.
I always think about that, whenever, I turn on the TV and people are talking about resources and what are we going to do next and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no one ever talks about just slow the hell down. Like, where are you going? Like
Yeah.
what do we all need all this stuff for? A simple one. We need all these damn cars.
Mhm.
Like all the parking issues. Like, oh, start making people drive mopeds. Like you go to Thailand or other places around the world, like they're all on mopeds. Like, yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of people. Like little simple things. Just slow the hell down.
Do you have a car?
Yeah, I have a car here, but I didn't for the first 6 months.
What
So
kind
I
of car
walked
you got?
everywhere with like a backpack.
Wow.
What kind of car you got over there? Yeah, I mean, what are they importing over there?
Oh my God, they have all different kinds of stuff, but mostly like we need 4x4s where I live
Yeah.
because I like the mountains right beside us. So RAV4 is a standard, but they have like
Mhm.
some Jimneys, like Suzuki vehicles
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
actually they can get a lot of parts, Toyota, Honda,
Yeah.
here, but a lot of people want to drive Jeeps and we can't get Jeep parts here. It takes forever for them to get parts into this country. So you want to drive something that's kind of like sustainable, but you're at the mechanics every month, like and no joke,
Oh,
because
really?
of
So,
the
ha,
humidity,
ha-
road conditions, everything. It fucking
yeah.
eats the cars. Yeah.
Wow.
Have you, how long have you been there now?
So October 2022, so a
Okay.
year and almost a
Okay.
half. Yeah.
So you've been out there just exploring, like, have you been finding what essentially like your river, your waterfall, like your spots where you're like, I like to go here and reflect. Like these are like, that's gotta be fun. Like I would love to go to another place
Yeah,
and
just explore
just
Oh
explore
yeah.
and find
everything.
and take your moment to like just sit down. Have you been
Every
finding
day.
those?
Yeah, every day. And there's like a beach that we like a girlfriend of mine go to walk on all the time. That's just like a beautiful connection. Like you learn about the earth here. But the place I have a casita being built in Dominicalito, which is like this little other town. And there's literally a bridge because there's a river that runs through the property. So they've built a bridge to get to the house. So like I literally have a river running through my property and I'm
That is
covered in
awesome.
trees and fruit trees and the monkeys come by every day and swing by the house. Like it's going to be a whole different vibrational experience.
Is there many people moving to where you're at? Is it like,
It's becoming more popular. And
yeah.
the challenge we're having now is that there's too much construction and they're taking out some of the wildlife and the trees. And a
Oh
lot of the
yeah.
people native to the land are not enjoying that.
You know how those English people roll. We just roll
Oh
right in
yeah.
there, start destroying everything. You know what I mean? Gonna be a high
Yeah.
rise next, somebody the damn money's gonna move in. I always think about that for the Hawaiian people, man. Like, damn, man, you out there just destroying it's just beauty. You know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah.
hell you need all this travel for? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, or buy up
Oh,
the houses that are built. Why do you have to build another one, even though in your mind you want this grandiose thing? But it's not just about that. It's about protecting the earth
yeah.
here. Because
Those people they
it,
don't
yeah,
know they don't because they don't know why. They don't know why they're doing it.
I know.
We have the beaches here in Delaware, and I drive by the mansions, like say Tower Road. If you look to the left, I have never seen anyone on those houses. I've never seen anyone enjoying the decks, enjoying the views. I've never seen anyone in the homes. They're just built and no one's there. They probably just rent them out and that's it. I'm just like, it's very unintentional living. It's just like, then why
Yeah.
would you allow them to build all this stuff? Like, what are we doing? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah. It's the same thing here. But Costa Rica like forces you to slow down
Yeah,
because you just have to be here, or
yeah,
else you get, like I always say all the time, she like spits you out, and there's a lot of people that don't want to deal with their stuff. And when you come to Costa Rica, it shines brightly in your face. Like it's
yeah.
like your selfishness or how you do the world or your lack of respect for humanity, it shows you. So
Yeah.
you get the
mm,
option, yeah, to do the healing.
that's a really interesting take on that. That
Mm,
I think we don't ever think about. We live so fast here in North America and distractions and you're honed in on a couple things and all that jazz, but you take the things that really aren't necessary away. Like you said, you find out like, do I really need these things? And that we're
hmm.
the same human beings we were however many thousands of years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the same exact being. We're
Hmm.
no different.
And we're not going anywhere. We're
We
not,
just
we
we
ain't
just think
jumping off this thing.
yeah,
You know what
we
I mean?
just think we're different. And that's kind of
Yeah.
like a place like Costa Rica is like a kick in the nuts. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
probably I'd imagine it's pretty fucking scary for people when they see
Oh,
that. When you
huge.
realize like, oh shit. And you probably don't, like you said, you don't realize who you were or who you are,
Yeah.
and like, I don't know this. I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to somewhere else. Like you said,
That,
that's
Like
yeah.
bring me
never
back
heard
to the
anything like that.
safety. I don't want to deal with it, but sometimes they consciously won't even admit that that's what's happening. And for those of us that are really connected, you see it right through it. You're like, oh, that guy's like his shit's hitting the fan over there, and he doesn't want to admit that that's who he is, as a person. So he'll run
That's
around and
wild.
lie and pretend and do all the things. I really realized, what this earth experience was when someone told me that pineapples, one of them grows on one plant and it takes a year to 2 years for one pineapple to grow.
Mm,
And when I looked at that, I go, how many pineapples in Canada did I throw out because I didn't eat it in time or because it went rotten? And that took a year to 2 years to grow. That one pineapple, like
Yeah.
that sacred experience of that one pineapple. And I went, there's a lot to learn here.
We
Like,
have no respect for it. I think about that every time I go into a store
yeah,
and I go to the fruits. I'm like, how are these available? I can go in there any store right now. I can grab strawberries. I can grab blueberries. I'm like, how?
yeah.
How am I getting all of these? Like, how are
mhm,
we able to we're destroying something somewhere to make this happen? And like, I always think about the tuna fish. Like, do we need tuna fish on every aisle and every piece of can? Like, we're just
yeah,
demolishing this fish to put it in a can. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
That's a whole nother subject. And you know,
But that's
I'm,
a spiritual. That's
I mean,
that's the
it is.
people in power that have no intentions on
Mhm.
being spirit. They don't respect the earth, man.
Yeah.
Because in this age, you can live, untested. Like here in America, you could be so lazy. You could buy everything online. It could come to your house. You could
Yep.
you could just do nothing and survive. But like where you live, that's not gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like my brother, when you were saying that it's hard to live there and people, you have to have a little pushback over there. That's what happened when my brother lived in Burma.
Oh yeah.
They tried a democracy there, and people were like, there's too many rules, too much happening, too much building, too many rules are starting to happen. They took the whole country over. They took all that
Yeah.
That's a
back.
whole
He
that's a
had
whole
to had
different
him
thing.
take the last emergency flight out of there. Like, we ain't going that route. Like, you're
Mm.
going too fast. Too much is happening. There's too many rules already. Like, nope.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
talking something that's been around for however many thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, whatever.
I mean, yeah.
They
People,
haven't advanced in
I
a good way like we have.
I also believe that's, people spiritual, or like they don't have, like, if they don't believe in God, then a good chance you don't have a moral compass. So you have people that are just in
Yeah.
very high powered situations that don't have a moral compass. It doesn't matter to them. You know what I mean? They don't fear, let's say they don't fear hell. They don't fear any punishment. They don't have any spiritual guide. They don't have any moral compass, and just out there doing whatever, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause they ain't slowed the hell
Yeah.
down. They ain't had a scary experience where like, oh,
No.
I'm just grateful to stand just to walk today. You
Yeah.
know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
true.
how has your business shifted,
Hmm.
grown, or good or bad, whatever, from when since you moved there?
Yeah. Great question. So I know we were talking about this when we were chatting, but highest month in businesses last year, like completely abolishing, what the bar was set for in my life. And I've been a pretty successful by normal standards entrepreneur most of my journey. Like I started doing six-figure years in 2015, which was maybe about 5 years into the business and not knowing anything. Like literally, I'm going to say that was so naivety. Like I had no clue what I was doing back then. Like to some degree, when I look back, I go like it was almost like it was a fluke. And then I managed to sustain it. And then when I made the shift into the spiritual side, it was kind of one of those questions like, could I actually really make money doing this? Like, is this a thing? Because I saw a lot of spiritual people really broke, but they're like, just love and light and let's just live in this space. And I was like, there's something to this, I know for sure. So honed in a lot on my brand and who I was, started dismantling a lot of the things I thought I should be, the things that no longer felt juicy to work within, even though I was super great at it. And I started really just believing in trusting that I would be held in the energy that I'm meant to serve the world in. And I just kept stepping in and dismantling all the things and launching the branding that shook and triggered some people and all that stuff, because part of my brand is I'm a rebel and I also own my sexual edge and branding. So sometimes I'll be naked in the branding for a masterclass, and I called my
That
mom
probably
before I
does help.
launched it. Yeah. Yeah, Lord does help.
That probably, I do. You know, it's crazy. They say that. I always say that in sales. I was like, man, if I had a pair of tits, I'd be selling so much more. I'd be crushing it.
Well,
Um,
it really worked out for personal power inside of that actual masterclass I was teaching, because it was really a showcase of me owning who I really was online. And,
yeah.
like I'm not a bikini model, nor would I ever like claim to be that, but there's something about an energy, when you step into that. So it's been a beautiful experience. I've had a lot of work to do on my own self, a lot of the shadow stuff, a lot of my own worthiness to be able to hold it, and then really launching, fine tuning the programs that I want to kind of lead within. And then the people just kept showing up, and now
Yeah.
even more so than before. And like people buy stuff out, like I don't even know them. And I'm like, who is this person that just bought this session with me that I don't even know? And I don't know how they found me. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with it all, you know?
So when you say naked, so we doing, top down, zoomed out, like like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you can't just drop that. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
it's not just walk by that. You know what I mean?
So a
So
couple of
like,
them just underwear, like thong underwear on from behind. So like you
okay,
got to see the whole back end of
okay,
me. I did a shoot just recently, well, in October in an actual waterfall, and I had a photographer actually capture me really well. I'm technically topless in it, but
okay.
I'm covered up a bit. But yeah, like just edge, like more edge,
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
Playboy edge, but more
Yeah.
like really encompassing, embodying a divine feminine energy of like
Okay.
who we really are in
Love
power.
it.
Yeah.
I love that. So
We could try that. We could
yeah,
try sitting here
look, I'm
naked.
I'm
You know what I
for
mean?
it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Um, so do you and I talked about was like a membership,
Mhm.
right, to your group, but you also do some like one-on-one stuff, some higher ticket things,
Yeah.
right? how about, well, I would say, what percentage of what would you say, like, what's your bread and butter?
Yeah, so one-to-one work has always been my bread and butter.
Okay.
Higher ticket items, more sustainability. People are in locked in for certain amounts of time.
Hmm.
I also get to really make like really deep-rooted shifts when I'm working one-to-one because it's like the potency there.
Yeah.
This year coming up, like I said to you, part of the strategy within my flow, we'll call it, is to be able to scale it so that more people are in programs, more people are in the membership, and that revenue keeps scaling and my time doesn't scale, right? So I still give all the energy inside of these places, but more people are in it. So that's how the revenue and structure of the business is going to scale. And a ton of evergreen products dropping this year. I've got so many assets, I call them, that I've created over the years. Like I've got over like 50 master classes that I could sell. Like I have like 14 programs that are already like that I taught live that I have all the recordings on. So it's just getting it all organized in the back end to be able to hold the energy I desire to hold.
And these master classes are in different domains,
Mhm.
or like different areas. I mean, because I guess you can go into spirituality of anything, right? You can
Yeah.
relationships and probably your nutrition, health, fitness, business, sexuality, like that's what you mean. These master classes are on different things that people can kind of look at your website or whatever platform and say, this is what I'm
I
looking
need.
for.
Yep. Yeah, so it's more so like with certain energies. So there's one that I taught called Circulate and teaching people about the circulation of energy and how when we give, we also have to receive. And if we're not receiving, because most people, a lot of humanity is like, no, 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 I'm good. You don't have to give me that. I got it on my own. And they push away the actual energy of receiving when there is a balance. We give and we need to be able to receive. And
Yeah.
if you want to manifest and you want to really flow within manifestation, both are important. So like teaching that or teaching capacity, like how do we hold more? How do we maneuver through and grow into an energetic space to hold more? So like 50 of them, over 50 of them, every single subject different.
That
So
is
it's
fucking
crazy.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I've
I
never heard
know.
anyone say that, like
Yeah.
about the receiving
Oh
and
yeah.
how you put it. That's
Yeah.
damn, I do that. I do that.
You have to make room for people to have their moment too.
Hmm.
Give you an example. Like my mom lives by herself. I pay for a lot of things for her, and when she has her moment where she wants to pay something, right? Uh, or she wants to give me a birthday card with like money in or something. I don't go. I don't need it. Blah, blah, blah. I say okay. I let her. I don't want to steal that spiritual moment from her.
Yeah.
Because like you said, she wants to give. She's going to feel something back from that, and I don't want to steal that from her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to make room for other people to have their moment.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's freaking fascinating.
Mhm.
So you've started, you're adjusting your business to
Mhm.
grow. What's kind of like the next goal? Or do you have long-term goals, or do you just kind of start taking these little, shoots as you feel you getting pulled a different way?
Yeah, thank you. That was a really great question because I used to have tons of goals and now I float within what I call an expanded energy. So wherever I feel, and I use the word juicy all the time because I really love imagery of like biting into a peach and it like tasting juicy. And I just love
Mm,
it. So I don't know, there's something about that connection. But for me, it's like, I wake up every day and I go, okay, where do I need to be today? What needs to happen? And I know there's a certain structure in order to scale to the desires of impact I want. And the monetary side will come with the impact because there's thousands of people that are meant to come through my field and whatever that means, meaning whether they ever pay for an offer or not. But like content, the way I show up, podcasting like this, like someone I hope will take a nugget and run with it and go make something from this conversation that we're having in the space of. But it's like, I have an intentional energy of a certain level of impact, and every day I lead within that energy and create within that. But I know like 2024 is going to be the year I break seven figures in a year. The business has done it over a period of time, but not in a very targeted, landscape, we'll say. But would I
right.
say it's a goal? I don't want to be like, it's a goal. No, it's like an energetic embodiment of like, who do I need to become to hold this money in this impact in like
Yeah.
this year? And obviously,
It's,
that's a really big statement that we work within, right?
that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is it just you? Do you have
Just,
any?
well, I've put some part-time people that work with me in
Okay.
different types of ways, but just like I drive everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
just me, we'll say. Yeah.
Yeah, like you when you say you have other folks, are they like admin type, like
Yeah,
social
like
media, running your ads or whatever
podcast
that?
editing and that kind of stuff. And then from the bookkeeping administrative side, I'm looking to bring on a full-time assistant by the middle of this year because I don't want to do half the stuff I do right now. I'm doing it
Yeah,
right now because it's part of what I need to do, we'll say. But yeah, and I also have a
yeah,
coach who's got a team that also just delivers into my space too. But most of it's created by me at this
that's
moment.
awesome.
Yeah.
How did you? Because you put off a different energy. I would never peg you to be like a Lions Den type fan.
Hmm.
Um,
What's that?
so Sean, do you know who Sean Whalen is?
Nope.
Lions Not Sheep brand. No. So like he's a pretty abrasive guy, right? He's not
Yeah.
for everybody. And
Yeah.
his, you know, and I judging a book by his cover, I would be like, there's no way Colleen likes Sean. So how did you kind of and why did you kind of like lean into that?
Yeah, so this is a really fun thing. Like literally in June of this year, I woke up one morning and it was like, and I'd been following Sean for a while. Like I really love the alpha male energy, and I'm single right now and desire to be in a relationship with an alpha male energy because I think they're fucking entertaining. Okay, like I just think he's hilariously funny, and like even when he's not being funny, I fucking laugh my ass up when he calls everybody like stupid fat fucks. I'm fucking
Yep.
laughing. Like I just
Yeah.
it's more entertainment for me, right? In the space
Gotcha.
of. So I've been following him for a while, and in June I just woke up and was like, it's time to join the den. And I was like, okay. So literally I literally follow everything by like intuitive hits. So
Nice.
that day I go and he had, I guess, just dropped the price that day without even announcing it.
Yeah.
And it was $47. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And so got into the den, and I'm there for a few reasons. One, to meet the people because there's people there that I'm meant to meet. And I've got cool girlfriends already from like LDL, and like just being in the space of I'm watching the way I can serve in the community too and showing up in that space. But there's something about Sean's energy. And yeah, he does come in alpha male, like really targeted in the space of like his communication, but he's also really rooted spiritually, which most of us don't see if we don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing. When he says he talks to God, like God, he channels God through himself to be able to serve. And there's more in common than you see superficially that we
Right.
have in common in the
Right.
mission. And there's something bigger that's going to drop through because of the fact that I'm there. I don't know all the answers. All I know is I'm supposed to be there, and that's how I lead life. So,
Nice. I love
yeah,
that. And that's why I think I said those exact words to you when you and I were chatting that we probably have more in common than we can realize from just this little surface conversation.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I like that you said it because I agree with you. I can see it with him too. And
yeah,
You
you
can
know,
learn. You can learn from anybody.
yeah, no, you
If you don't,
can.
if you just sit there and be a good listener, you can take anything from anybody, no matter what they're, no matter
Yeah,
what they're selling. I mean,
yeah.
there's always a space to learn something.
yeah,
You know,
Oh,
something
for
no,
for
sure.
you, for something for yourself.
for sure. That's super fascinating. And we're both self-employed.
Mhm.
The majority of folks we chat with are self-employed, and I don't want you to take us the wrong way, but it's like, man, you are proof that you could fucking make it doing anything. I
Yeah,
mean, because there's a lot of people out there that might have your exact gift that'll just
yeah.
say, I can't make a living out of that. I got to work for real. I can't do these things.
Mhm.
And that's the part of like something is telling them to do something that's within them and they're pushing it away. They're ignoring it and going like, no, that's not what mom and dad told me. That's not what the school system told me. I got to go to college and get a job and just be fucking miserable until I'm 62 and a half.
Yeah,
Right. And they're afraid that they can't survive because money is not the most important thing in the world, but try living without it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? You've got to have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And um
They got no confidence.
yeah, but
yeah,
it's wild that like, man, if
I
you
mean,
can't fucking make it in 2024, you're just not trying. I don't understand.
yeah,
There's people I've saw so I don't know if it was in the den or somewhere else. Somebody's making like six figures selling fucking painted rocks
yeah,
on like Etsy or something. What like
oh yeah, dude, they've been
yeah,
selling rocks since like the
I
'60s,
mean
dude.
what like you know,
But Pet Rock, that was the first one.
figure
Oh,
it,
yeah.
yeah, figure it the fuck out, man.
Yeah.
And what makes it even better is that you love what you're doing and you're
Mhm.
coming from a true space of service. And
Mhm.
when you believe that much in what you do, you don't have to sell
Mhm.
anything, right? You're living proof of, you know, what you embody, and hey, I'm here to help you. And then when you help somebody, then the next person, then the next person, and then all of a sudden you have all this social proof that they call it, and it's
Mhm.
just people that say, "Hey, man, Colleen's a shit. She really
Yeah.
helped me out."
People do not take the time to work on their spiritual self. And I think people hear spiritual and they get a little like,
Yep.
it's like, dude, that's in you. You got to work on that because you
Oh,
can't do
yeah.
anything else. The other stuff is like, it's just like, it's just what you can see, but like what's driving behind what you're doing is yourself, is how if you're not spiritual, if you don't have the intention, if you're not confident, that'll display right through your work.
Oh,
So if you
for
don't
sure.
have all that other stuff in line, you can't move forward, or you can't be open to what the universe is trying to provide to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be open to a lot of things. Like you going into the den, it's like, yeah, that's great. You got to be open to other things. But you have to have that confidence to be a pinball, to be able to bounce off things.
Well,
You
it
know what
just
I mean?
shows too that you're real. You're
Yeah.
not. You didn't
Oh,
say
yeah.
like because I'm this, I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You didn't fight because I think that's what a lot of frauds would do. Well, like,
Yeah.
no, I'm this type of person. I'm not that type of person. So I can't associate with this group. You didn't do that. You just said, hey, here's my thought, my feeling. I'll lean into it and I'll go somewhere that traditionally you might not picture me at, you know, and then
Yeah.
boom, now you're on some, podcast with some hillbillies from Delaware. You know what I mean? And having
Here
like
we
a
are.
big
This is the moment.
well, that
well,
that's wild.
this is the pinnacle.
Have you been on
Yeah.
podcasts before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Usually I have actually technology that backs up my podcasting, but that's a whole other avenue of stuff that moves through. But yeah, I've been interviewed, I think on at least 30 over the last year,
Hell yeah.
10 different summits. Like I'm all in for conversations, and I love these kinds of conversations where we just shoot the shit and like move back through a conversation, like
Yeah.
I love this.
What do you find that uh your clients have like a very common fear or insecurity that allows them not to
Mhm.
be open to the universe?
Yeah. They don't believe it's possible. Like that's
Hmm.
would be the number one thing. Like they don't believe. So I really live in the philosophy, if it's in you, it's for you. So meaning you wouldn't be given that dream or that vision of that business structure of the life you can live, of like owning the ranch, of like, raising the kids this way. You wouldn't be given that if it wasn't already inside of you. Like it's yours to hold. It's not someone else's, it's yours. And most people don't believe that they're worthy enough or that they can create this life.
Yeah,
And that goes with all different kinds of things, like the way they lead their business, that they could actually make money at this, that people would buy those services, that they could launch it, that they could be in that relationship, that they could raise their kids this way, that they could all the things, right?
yeah,
And that's the number one thing I think is that belief. And once you bust that open and they start to actually feel, then they can actually make moves in
yeah,
alignment to make all that work.
yeah.
God,
I
I
I
freaking
feel
love
like
that.
people are afraid to fail too. They're always like
Mm,
when people ask me like, Tom, I don't know how you do it, man. Like I'd be so scared to like fail and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, dude, every failure is great, man. Like you fucking
yeah.
know, you just learn. You only hopefully you only gotta learn that one time, but you learn like that one failure makes you just that much stronger and better, more. So when someone comes again and asks something, like say construction, if I make mistakes construction wise, and I'm like, damn, now next sometimes someone brings something up, like I have the definite answer, like because I know I
Right.
made the mistake. Like I know if like when people are like, yeah, it'll be all right. I'm like, actually, it won't be all right. I'll tell you why it won't be all right. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah,
So
It's
do you
it's
get
interesting. Yeah.
into things like earthing and getting your sun on your skin in the morning and that
Mm.
sort of stuff too?
Yeah, like I'm really like the biohacking side of health, definitely.
Yes.
My girlfriend just sent me over, and I say girlfriend in a way of like my friends. Okay,
we
just want to
know,
make
we
sure I
Yeah.
know.
state that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I've had some people say to me, "Oh, are you in a lesbian relationship?" I was like, "No, I just say that they're girl and
yeah. Girls
friends
say
together."
girlfriends.
Yeah.
We don't say
Girlfriend.
boyfriends, but girls say
Yeah.
girlfriends. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know it's kind of weird, but anyways, so she sent me a link yesterday, and she's like, "So." I need to really, really emphasize I live in a very small town in Costa Rica that doesn't have a lot of things that you normally would have. So there's a place that just opened like 25 minutes down the highway that is a Nordic spa. That's what they're calling it. But it has infrared sauna and cold plunging. And you can buy a package to do both. And I'm like, I'm so in on this. Like I will drive to go to the infrared sauna to sit in that to help all of it move. But like vitamin D, like literally I walk the beach. I'm all into like, sunbathing the genital area to stimulate, hormonal things and all the purity of that and all the biohacking. I'm like super available to conversations about for sure.
The
I love the biohacking things become, I don't want to say a new word, at least in my world.
Yeah.
Though not that long ago, who was it? Gary Brecka,
Mm,
right? Is that his name? You know what I'm talking about?
hell, I don't know. Who's
He's
on?
no.
with he's a human biologist, and you can
Okay.
do these DNA um or like gene tests, right? And you can find what genes your
Oh, if you're
body's
actually
Right.
deficient
Oh
in.
fucking,
yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
teaches you how to
yeah.
supplement and all that. And he's big. I mean,
Is he the one that helped Dana White?
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
He really got on the map because of Grant Cardone and Dana
Mm,
White. So now
yeah.
he's like 10x health. He's like that guy.
can you even
Okay.
metabolize what we're giving you? That was huge.
That
Yeah,
that that that's it. His podcast, you get a chance to listen to it with Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Um, it's long. It was Joe Rogan
it's
stuff. It's
Of
very
all
long.
long,
course. Yeah.
but man, it is freaking incredible. And even when Dana White goes from being a fat piece of shit, unhealthy, and
Yeah.
in 10 or 12 weeks, he had lost like 40 pounds and he was off all of his prescription medication. Blood pressure was normal. Like he had abs and like it was just basically it said, hey, here's what your body cannot process. Here's how we supplement so
Mm,
you can do this stuff. And it was just it's fascinating. But he talks about grounding and the cold water plunges and the
yeah.
infrared saunas and but he's like, you don't all these things like people think they can't do it because well, I can't afford a cold plunge and I can't afford
Yeah,
an infrared bed. He's like, but get up with the sun and stand outside when the sun's rising for 10 minutes. He's like, get in
Yeah.
a cold shower for a couple minutes. It's fucking free.
yeah.
Stand there
Yeah.
with bare feet on the ground. And then he
Yeah.
goes into the science behind it, what it does. And I mean, you can't argue blood work. You can't argue labs and
Yeah.
how it, and I get fascinated in the whole hormonal thing too. I do cold plunge I would say 3 or 4 times a week. It's
Yeah.
frozen solid right now because it's been in the teens here for the past week, but I
Yeah.
can't get in. Actually, my son the other day, he was like, Dad, I stood on top of your cold plunge. I can't,
Sample.
it's frozen solid. But, so I figured you had to be kind of a part of that, but I was
Oh
interested to
yeah.
see if you do get outside, and soak up
Every
that
day.
morning vitamin D barefooted.
The vitamin D is
I,
big.
I pretty much am bare feet almost all the time that I
Hell
can
yeah.
be.
Yeah,
Like flip-flops obviously are like your footwear here, but like I literally work out in bare feet at the gym even. So imagine working out in a gym with no air conditioning.
Oof.
Okay? Like that's the environment I live within. Like it's like it changes your whole entire perspective about stuff. Like it's just the everything. Like I do
Yeah.
yoga in the middle of the jungle, like in an
yeah.
open platform in the jungle. Like
That's
that's where we
badass
do
though.
The
yoga.
the the
Yeah.
day of my wedding, speaking of getting spiritual and getting some vitamin D, the day of my wedding, people thought I was absolutely crazy. I had a massive hangover. And like I was like, oh man, I was like, you know what, I gotta get in front of the sun. Like if I just can lay down in front of the sun for like an hour, like I'll be good to go. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, man, just watch. And like I know like if I go sit in front of the sun, it'll warm
Yeah.
me up and eventually it'll make my once my immune system, like once my metabolism gargles and starts to move, golden. And I know when I sit in front of the sun, that's what makes it do it. And I was like, when I hear about it, it's like, are you grounding? I'm like,
Yeah.
bitch, I've been grounding since I was like 3 years old. Like, who the hell wants to wear shoes
Yeah.
all the time?
Yeah, I
This shit
hate.
is like
Yeah,
basic human. You feel it as soon as you do. Why would you want? I mean,
yeah. I like being
I used to
barefooted
always
as
sit.
well.
Oh, why
Oh
used to get
yeah.
sick? I would always lay in a chair in the sun. That thing will. I mean, it does help you.
It is the healer. So it has
Yeah,
all of the infrared, like all the infrared stuff that we're pulling
yeah,
into systems now on Earth. But I said when I got here that I was going to heal my eyesight. Like I was not going to need glasses. I'm going to heal my eyesight. And literally a couple months ago, I went to the eye doctor and she's like, wow, like your eyes are like 1 point, like more healed. Like it was like -3 and I'm at -2 now. And my astigmatism in my left eye is up minus like a half point, which that is like unheard of. And then my hairstylist is like, wow, all your grays are like really faded. Like I hardly ever see them anymore in your roots. And I was like, that's the sun. Like literally we're reversing aging in this
Yeah.
country. Like if you choose to, like I'm 9 degrees from the equator. Like that's how
Yeah.
potent the sunshine is here, right? So it's like, but I choose that every day. I choose to go out. I choose to walk the beach. I choose to be
Yeah.
outside. So yeah.
Oh, it's so freaking
That's
awesome,
how
man.
humans are supposed to be. You're not supposed to be inside the house breathing all this HVAC air.
Well,
Yeah.
somebody said recently, actually, it might have been Gary Brecka. It was like why people get sick in the wintertime. Like, it's not because of cold, it's not because of germs, all the same shit's around all the time. It's
Yeah.
because you have less vitamin D. Everybody's covered up. You're
Yeah.
staying inside.
Hmm.
So that fucks you shit up in your body and
Yeah.
that makes you get sick. It's like
Yeah.
there's no more or less germs in the winter than there is in the summertime. The difference is in the summertime, we're outside more. We
Yeah.
have less clothes on. We're absorbing more, from the sun.
Yeah.
Have you heard that as well?
Yeah, and also too, if you think about it, like all of the air is being recirculated into the home. So if you're in the home all the time, then you're just in that same air consistently all the time, and it's just
Yeah.
moving that through, right? So yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
while our grandmothers and stuff would be like first warm day, like open the windows up, get some fresh air through here.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they know.
yeah,
My mom's
they
know,
know.
man.
Even older houses, if you go into an older house, like from like a well-built house from like the 70s and 80s, they always had a big house fan in the attic that they could
Hmm.
turn on and pull all the fresh air in and just kind of vacuum out the whole house of all the stale air.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
just simple things. People got it back then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Oh,
really do.
absolutely.
So what do you have family like close by? Is all your family in Canada? How does that
All of
dynamic
them
work?
in, yeah, all of them are in Canada. So I've always kind of been the Lone Ranger in my family.
Okay.
Just doing stuff. Like I grew up in Winnipeg and then I moved with my ex-boyfriend to Ontario. And so I've always kind of been separated from my family. My mom and I have the best relationship we've ever had now in our world, but I was a rebel daughter. Imagine trying to raise me. Like it was probably super challenging for her. And I look back and I go, shit, man, she needed some armor to raise a kid like me. And when she used to say to me when I was younger, I hope you have two girls just like you. I didn't know she was like cursing me at the time. Like, like she was
Yeah.
like, I hope this comes back tenfold into your world. But yeah, like I was just back in Winnipeg in December. My parents came in January of
Nice.
last year. I was like, you never visited Ontario, and now you're just like, we're coming to Costa Rica. I was like, yeah, I moved
Well,
to the place that you want to come to.
yeah,
Like,
I was gonna say
I
who
know.
wouldn't want to? I tell you what, after talking to a couple people, because I told you we had Dan Henry on a few weeks
Yeah,
ago, and he lives down there, and hearing you speak about it, it sounds like I got a vacation to plan at some point
yeah,
to get
yeah,
down there and check this
Yeah,
place
I
out.
had buddies that would go there every year for surfing. They always talked about how nice
oh
it was.
yeah. It's
Man,
great.
oh man,
Like I live by a surf town that most people go to, and it's like it's amazing. It's definitely a trip for sure.
that's pretty awesome. Well, look, I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time. I know you're super busy. To wrap this up, how can people find you? What socials? And we'll share this as well on our links. But how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, like I call it my playground is Instagram. So like come over there, check out my stuff. If you heard anything from this podcast that you're like, yes, that was amazing, like just drop me a DM and tell me that you heard it.
What's the
Cause
name of your Instagram?
Yeah, what's your ad at
yeah,
Instagram?
the Colleen Lindberg. So
Okay,
the one
awesome.
and only.
Any Facebook, TikTok, YouTube?
Yeah, like they can find me on all the platforms, really.
Okay,
I'm
I'm sure
everywhere.
you have a link tree or something on your Instagram.
Not for the social platforms, but I have a
Okay,
link tree on my Instagram for like offers and current offers and things
okay.
people can look into.
All
Yeah.
right, we'll be sure to share that out. So, all right, Colleen. Well, look, I really appreciate it, and yeah, maybe we can chat again sometime.
Yeah.
Loved everything you said.
Thank you so
I
much.
know
Yeah.
I definitely learned some
Yeah.
things. I
Yeah.
loved it. So I'm glad we got connected.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you guys so much for holding space this way. I super appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. Do you